Cat finds abandoned baby and does something no one expected. On a cold January night, Elena sat alone in her small apartment, the silence broken only by the soft ticking of an old clock on the wall. Outside, snowflakes danced in the dim light of street lamps, creating a serene yet melancholic atmosphere. Elena's eyes, filled with unshed tears, gazed unseeing at a worn photograph in her trembling hands. The image showed a much younger Elena, her face radiant with the glow of new motherhood, cradling a tiny bundle in her arms. But the joy captured in that frozen moment was now overshadowed by years of regret and sorrow. Elena's mind drifted back to that fateful day 18 years ago when, barely more than a child herself, she had made the heart-wrenching decision to give up her newborn daughter for adoption. The memory of signing away her parental rights still haunted her, the pen feeling impossibly heavy in her hand as she scrawled her signature on the documents that would forever change two lives. "Anna," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "My little Anna." The name hung in the air, a bittersweet reminder of what could have been. Elena had convinced herself that giving Anna up was the right thing to do. She had been young, scared, and alone, with no means to provide for a child. But as the years passed, the void in her heart only grew larger. Elena's life had been a series of missed opportunities and unfulfilled dreams since that day. She had thrown herself into her work, climbing the corporate ladder with a determination born of desperation to prove to herself that she could have been a good provider. But success in her career did little to fill the emptiness inside her. As she sat there, lost in thought, a sudden gust of wind rattled the window pane. Startling her back to the present, Elena stood up, her joints stiff from sitting too long, and walked to the window. The city lay before her, a landscape of twinkling lights and snow-covered rooftops. Somewhere out there, her daughter was living her life, perhaps happy, perhaps struggling, but always unknown to the mother who had never stopped thinking about her. Elena pressed her forehead against the cold glass, her breath fogging the window. "I'm sorry," she murmured, though there was no one to hear her apology. "I'm so sorry, Anna." As if in response to her whispered words, a dark shape darted across the street below. Elena's eyes focused on the movement, and she saw a cat, its black fur barely visible against the night, navigating the snow-covered sidewalk with practiced ease. For a moment, Elena envied the animal's apparent freedom and purpose. Little did she know that this cat, soon to be known to her as Felix, would play a pivotal role in the events about to unfold, events that would challenge everything Elena thought she knew about fate, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. With a heavy sigh, Elena turned away from the window. She had made a habit of reliving her regrets on nights like these, but tomorrow was another workday. She needed to sleep, to put on the mask of the efficient, untroubled professional she presented to the world. As she prepared for bed, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Whether for better or worse, she couldn't say, but the air seemed charged with possibility. As Elena drifted off to sleep, her dreams were filled with images of the daughter she had never known, and of a black cat with knowing eyes, leading her through a labyrinth of snow-covered streets towards an uncertain future. As Elena tossed and turned in her fitful sleep, the black cat she had spotted from her window was prowling the streets of the city. Known to the neighborhood strays as Felix, this feline had survived countless winters on these unforgiving streets. His sharp eyes missed nothing, his keen senses always alert for both danger and opportunity. Felix was no ordinary alley cat. Over the years, he had developed a reputation among the local animals and even some humans as a guardian of sorts. He had an uncanny ability to find those in need and would in his own way offer help or comfort. Tonight, as the snow fell in gentle flurries, Felix felt a familiar tug, an instinct that told him his services would be required. The cat padded silently through the deserted streets, his paws leaving delicate imprints in the fresh snow. He wound his way through narrow alleys and behind buildings, following a path known only to him. As he turned a corner into a particularly dark and secluded alleyway, his ears pricked up at a sound, faint but unmistakable. Felix froze, his tail twitching as he listened intently. There it was again, a weak cry, barely audible over the whisper of falling snow. Without hesitation, Felix bounded towards the source of the sound, his eyes scanning the piles of discarded trash and abandoned boxes that lined the alley. The cry grew louder as Felix approached a mound of garbage bags. With practiced agility, he leapt onto the pile, his claws finding purchase on the slick plastic. As he reached the top, the cry suddenly stopped, replaced by a soft whimper. Felix's whiskers twitched as he gently pawed at one of the bags. To his astonishment, the plastic shifted to reveal a tiny human hand, its fingers curled against the cold. The cat's green eyes widened as he realized what he had found, an abandoned baby, left to the mercy of the elements. For a moment, Felix was torn. His feline instincts urged him to leave, to avoid entanglement in human affairs. But something stronger, the same instinct that had guided him to help others in the past, kept him rooted to the spot. The baby was silent now, its energy depleted by cold and hunger. Without further hesitation, Felix began to work. With careful movements, he used his teeth and claws to tear at the garbage bag, gradually exposing more of the infant. As the last of the plastic fell away, Felix saw the baby in full, a tiny girl, her skin pale and mottled from the cold, her eyes closed in exhaustion. Felix knew that time was of the essence. The baby needed warmth, and quickly. Drawing on an instinct as old as life itself, Felix curled his body around the infant, sharing what heat he could. He began to lick the baby's face gently, the rough texture of his tongue stimulating her skin and encouraging her to fight for life. As Felix tended to the abandoned child, his mind raced. He needed to attract human attention, but how? The alley was deserted, the nearby buildings dark and silent. The cat knew he couldn't leave the baby alone, even for a moment. She would surely perish in the cold. Then, as if in answer to his unspoken question, the baby stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused but alive, and she let out a wail, louder this time, fueled by the warmth and care Felix had provided. The cat added his voice to hers, meowing with all his might, a duet of desperation cutting through the quiet night. Lights began to flicker on in the surrounding buildings. Felix heard the murmur of voices, the sound of doors opening. He continued his vigil, never leaving the baby's side. As the first curious neighbors ventured into the alley, there were gasps of shock and cries of dismay as the scene came into view, a tiny baby, naked and cold, watched over by a scruffy black cat who refused to leave her side. Someone called for an ambulance, while others brought blankets and warm water. As the alley filled with people and activity, Felix remained steadfast. He watched with keen eyes as the baby was wrapped in blankets and cradled by gentle hands. Only when he was sure that she was safe and warm did Felix allow himself to relax, his duty fulfilled. Little did Felix know that his actions that night would set in motion a chain of events that would change not only his life, but the lives of many others, including a woman named Eleanor, who at that very moment was dreaming of second chances and lost opportunities. As the ambulance arrived, its lights painting the snowy alley in flashes of red and blue, Felix slipped away into the shadows. His work here was done, but something told him that his role in this unfolding drama was far from over. With one last glance at the baby being carefully loaded into the ambulance, Felix disappeared into the night, guided by the same mysterious instinct that had led him to this moment of destiny. Elena jolted awake, her heart racing. The remnants of a vivid dream clung to her consciousness. She had been running through snow-covered streets, following a black cat that always seemed just out of reach. As she shook off the last vestiges of sleep, Eleanor became aware of a commotion outside her apartment building. Curious, she threw on a robe and made her way to the window. The street below was alive with activity, despite the late hour. An ambulance's flashing lights painted the snow-covered scene in surreal hues of red and blue. Neighbors huddled in small groups, their breath visible in the cold air as they talked excitedly. Driven by an inexplicable urge, Elena quickly dressed and hurried downstairs. As she stepped out into the frigid night, she overheard snippets of conversation that made her heart skip a beat. Can you believe it? A baby, just left there in the trash. If it wasn't for that cat, who knows what would have happened? They say she's going to be okay, thank goodness. Elena pushed her way through the crowd, drawn as if by an invisible force towards the center of attention. There, she saw paramedics carefully loading a tiny bundle into the back of the ambulance. And then, just for a moment, she locked eyes with a black cat sitting calmly at the edge of the commotion. Time seemed to stand still as Elena gazed into the cat's intelligent green eyes. In that instant, she felt a connection. A sense that this night, this moment, was somehow meant for her. The cat blinked slowly, then turned and disappeared into the shadows. As if waking from a trance, Elena suddenly found herself moving towards one of the paramedics. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "The baby. Is she going to be all right?" The paramedic, a kind-faced woman, turned to Elena. "It's touch and go, but thanks to that cat keeping her warm, she's got a fighting chance. Are you a relative?" Elena hesitated, then shook her head. "No, I just want to help. Is there anything I can do?" The paramedic studied Elena for a moment, then nodded. "If you're serious about helping, you could come to the hospital. Child services will need to get involved, and they're always looking for emergency foster care volunteers." Elena's heart raced. Was this the second chance she had been longing for? Could this be a way to make amends for the choice she had made so long ago? Before she could second-guess herself, Elena heard herself say, "Yes, I'll come. I want to help." As Elena climbed into her car to follow the ambulance, she caught a glimpse of movement in her rearview mirror. The black cat had reappeared and was watching her intently. Without thinking, Elena opened her car door. "Here, Kitty," she called softly. To her surprise, the cat trotted over and leapt gracefully into the passenger seat. As Elena closed the door and started the engine, she felt a sense of rightness settle over her. Whatever journey she was about to embark on, it seemed she wouldn't be facing it alone. The drive to the hospital was surreal. Elena's mind whirled with possibilities and fears. Was she really considering taking in this abandoned child? Could she handle the responsibility, the emotional toll? And what of her own daughter, the one she had given up so long ago? As if sensing her turmoil, the cat, whom Elena had mentally dubbed Felix, placed a paw on her arm. The simple gesture calmed her racing thoughts, grounding her in the present moment. They arrived at the hospital just as the ambulance was unloading its precious cargo. Elena parked and turned to Felix. "I don't suppose they'll let you in," she mused. To her amazement, when she opened the car door, Felix stayed put, as if to say, "I'll wait here." With a deep breath, Elena squared her shoulders and walked into the hospital. She approached the reception desk, her voice steadier than she felt as she explained why she was there. Soon, she found herself whisked away to speak with a social worker. Hours passed in a blur of questions, paperwork, and medical updates. The baby, a girl, they told her, was stable but would need careful monitoring. When asked if she was willing to provide emergency foster care, Elena surprised herself by answering without hesitation, "Yes." As dawn broke, casting a pale golden light across the city, Elena stood by the baby's incubator. The tiny girl, tubes and wires connecting her to various machines, looked so fragile, yet so full of potential. Elena placed her hand gently on the plastic surface, her eyes filling with tears. "Hello, little one," she whispered. "I don't know why our paths have crossed, but I promise you this, I will do everything in my power to give you the love and care you deserve." At that moment, Elena felt a presence beside her. She looked down to see Felix sitting there, having somehow found his way into the hospital. A nurse approached, about to shoo the cat away, but Elena intervened. "Please," she said, "he saved her life. He deserves to be here." The nurse, seeing the earnest look in Elena's eyes, nodded and walked away. Felix jumped up onto a nearby chair, his gaze alternating between Elena and the baby. As Elena stood there, with a rescued cat by her side and an abandoned baby before her, she felt a shift in her heart. The weight of regret that had burdened her for so long began to lift, replaced by a tentative hope. She didn't know what challenges lay ahead, but for the first time in years, Elena felt ready to face them. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of a journey that would test her resolve, challenge her perceptions, and ultimately lead her to confront the ghosts of her past. As the sun rose higher in the sky, Eleanor, Felix, and the yet unnamed baby girl stood poised on the threshold of a new chapter, one filled with unexpected twists, hidden connections, and the transformative power of love and redemption. As the days turned into weeks, Elena found herself settling into a new routine. The baby, whom she had named Lily, was thriving under her care. Felix had become a constant presence in their lives, his watchful eyes never straying far from Lily's crib. Elena had taken a leave of absence from work, throwing herself fully into her role as Lily's foster mother. But even as she reveled in the joys of caring for a child, the soft coos, the tiny fingers wrapped around hers, a nagging voice in the back of her mind whispered of her long-lost daughter, Anna. One afternoon, as Lily napped peacefully and Felix lounged in a patch of sunlight, Eleanor found herself drawn to the box of mementos she had kept hidden away for years. With trembling hands, she lifted the lid, revealing a collection of items that told the story of a young mother's heartbreak. There were hospital bracelets, a tiny hat, and a single photograph, the same one she had been looking at on that fateful night when Lily came into her life. But it was a folded piece of paper at the bottom of the box that caught Elena's attention now. She unfolded it carefully, revealing a letter she had written to Anna years ago, but had never sent. The words, penned in a moment of desperate longing, blurred before her eyes. "My dearest Anna, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of you. I hope you can understand that I made the hardest decision of my life because I wanted to give you your best chance. I dream of the day we might meet again, but I know that choice isn't mine to make. I love you always. Your mother, Elena." A tear splashed onto the paper, smudging the ink. Elena wiped her eyes. In that moment, Elena made a decision. She would search for Anna, not to disrupt her life or force a relationship, but to offer an explanation, an apology, and perhaps, if Anna was willing, a chance for healing. With newfound determination, Elena began her search. She knew it wouldn't be easy. Closed adoptions were designed to protect privacy, but she had to try. In between caring for Lily and managing her own emotional roller coaster, Eleanor spent every spare moment researching adoption laws, contacting agencies, and exploring every avenue she could think of. Weeks turned into months, and Lily grew from a fragile newborn into a bubbly, curious infant. Eleanor's love for her foster daughter deepened with each passing day, even as her search for Anna seemed to hit one dead end after another. It was on a rainy afternoon in April. As Elena sat at her computer with Lily napping nearby and Felix curled up at her feet, that she received an email that made her heart stop. It was from a private investigator she had hired in a moment of desperation. "Ms. Ramirez, I believe I have located your daughter, Anna. She is living in a town called Maplewood, about 200 miles from your current location. I've attached all the information I've been able to gather legally. Please remember that any contact must be initiated by Anna, as per the terms of the closed adoption. Regards, David Thompson, P.I." Elena's hands shook as she opened the attachment. There, staring back at her from the screen, was a young woman with Elena's eyes and smile. Anna, her daughter, alive, healthy, and so beautifully grown. Tears streamed down Elena's face as she drank in every detail of the photo. Anna appeared to be standing in front of a small bakery, a sign in the window proclaiming Anna's sweet creations. She had followed her passion, just as Elena had always hoped she would. As the initial shock wore off, Elena was hit with a whirlwind of emotions. Joy at finally seeing her daughter, pride in the woman she had become, and a deep, aching sadness for all the years they had lost. But underlying it all was a burning question. What now? The law was clear. Elena couldn't reach out to Anna directly. But now that she knew where her daughter was, could she really just sit back and do nothing? The temptation to jump in her car and drive to Maplewood was almost overwhelming. It was Felix who brought her back to reality, meowing insistently for his dinner. As Eleanor got up to feed him and check on Lily, She forced herself to take deep breaths. She needed to think this through carefully. Any rash actions could jeopardize any chance of a relationship with Anna. As she went through the motions of her evening routine, feeding Lily, giving her a bath and settling her down for the night, Eleanor's mind raced with possibilities. She could write a letter to be held by the adoption agency in case Anna ever decided to search for her birth mother. She could move to Maplewood, perhaps open her own business near Anna's bakery, and hope for a chance encounter. Or she could respect the boundaries of the closed adoption and cherish the knowledge that her daughter was thriving, even if it meant never meeting her. Late that night, after Lily was asleep and Felix was keeping his nightly vigil by the crib, Elena sat down to write another letter to Anna. This one, like the one before it, might never be sent, but it helped Elena sort through her tumultuous emotions. My dearest Anna, today, I saw your face for the first time in 18 years. You've grown into such a beautiful young woman, and my heart is bursting with pride. I want you to know that not a day has gone by that I haven't thought of you, loved you, missed you. I've recently become a foster mother to a baby girl named Lily. Caring for her has opened my eyes to so much and has made me appreciate even more the sacrifice your adoptive parents made in opening their hearts to you. I hope they have given you all the love and support I wished for you but couldn't provide myself. I don't know if we'll ever meet, if you'll ever want to know me, but I want you to know that I'm here, that I love you, and that I'm so proud of the woman you've become. All my love, your birth mother, Elena. As Elena folded the letter and placed it in the box with the other mementos, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. She didn't have all the answers yet, but she had taken the first step on a new journey. Whatever happened next, she would face it with courage, love, and hope. Little did Elena know that fate had more surprises in store, surprises that would test her resolve, challenge her perceptions, and ultimately bring her face to face with the past she had been both running from and yearning for. As spring blossomed into summer, life settled into a new rhythm for Elena, Lily, and Felix. Elena had returned to work part-time, finding a delicate balance between her career and her role as Lily's foster mother. The adoption process was moving forward, and Elena dared to hope that soon Lily would be her daughter in every legal sense. But thoughts of Anna were never far from Elena's mind. She had decided, after much soul-searching, to respect the boundaries of the closed adoption. She wouldn't reach out directly, but she had sent a letter to the adoption agency, to be kept on file in case Anna ever decided to search for her birth mother. It was on a warm Saturday in June that Elena decided to treat herself and Lily to a day out. She packed a diaper bag, settled Lily into her stroller, and with Felix watching from the window, set out for the local farmers' market. The market was bustling with activity, filled with the colors and scents of fresh produce, flowers, and baked goods. Eleanor breathed in deeply, enjoying the simple pleasure of the outing. As she browsed the stalls, a familiar aroma caught her attention, the sweet, comforting smell of cinnamon rolls, just like the ones her grandmother used to make. Following her nose, Elena found herself in front of a cheery blue booth. A sign proclaimed Maplewood Bakery, Anna's Sweet Creations, in curling script. Elena's heart stuttered in her chest. It couldn't be. Could it? And then she saw her. Anna, her Anna, standing behind the counter, smiling as she handed a box of pastries to a customer. Elena froze, her hands gripping Lily's stroller tightly. She knew she should walk away, respect the boundaries she had set for herself, but her feet seemed rooted to the spot. Anna looked up, her eyes meeting Elena's, and for a moment, the world stood still. There was no recognition in Anna's gaze. Why would there be? But there was a flicker of something. Curiosity, perhaps, or a sense of déjà vu. "Can I help you?" Anna asked, her voice friendly and warm. Elena opened her mouth, but no words came out. What could she say? How could she explain the torrent of emotions coursing through her? It was Lily who broke the spell, letting out a happy gurgle and reaching towards the display of colorful cupcakes. Anna's attention shifted to the baby, her smile widening. "Well, hello there, little one," she cooed. "Aren't you just the sweetest thing?" Elena found her voice at last. "Her name is Lily," she managed, her own voice sounding strange to her ears. "That's a beautiful name," Anna replied. "Is she yours?" The question, so innocent, hit Elena like a physical blow. I'm fostering her," she explained, fighting to keep her composure. Anna's eyes softened with understanding. "That's wonderful," she said sincerely. "My parents, my adoptive parents, fostered for years before they adopted me. It takes a special kind of love." Elena felt tears pricking at her eyes. "It does," she agreed softly. "It really does." There was a moment of silence, filled with unspoken words and hidden truths. Then Anna seemed to shake herself, gesturing to her display. "So, can I tempt you with anything? The cinnamon rolls are my grandmother's recipe. Well, my adoptive grandmother's." Elena couldn't help but laugh at the irony. "Cinnamon rolls were my grandmother's specialty too," she said. "I'd love to try yours." As Anna boxed up the pastries, she and Elena fell into easy conversation. They discovered a shared love of baking, of old movies, of rainy days spent curled up with a good book. With each passing minute, Elena felt the connection between them growing stronger, even as her heart ached with the knowledge that Anna had no idea who she really was. As Elena prepared to leave, cinnamon rolls in hand and Lily babbling happily in her stroller, Anna hesitated. "This might sound strange," she said, "but I feel like I know you from somewhere. Have we met before?" Elena's heart raced. This was her moment, her chance to reveal everything. But as she looked into Anna's eyes, she realized with a start, she knew she couldn't. "Not like this, not here." "I don't think so," Elena said softly, "but I'm glad we've met now." Anna smiled, that same smile Elena had seen in the photo months ago. "Me too," she said. "I'm here every Saturday, if you'd like to stop by again." As Elena walked away, her mind was spinning. She had just spoken to her daughter, shared a moment with her, without Anna ever knowing the truth. The joy of the encounter was tempered by the weight of her secret. Back at home, the truth would find its way out. Little did Elena know that fate had more twists in store, twists that would challenge her resolve, test her newfound relationships, and ultimately bring all the threads of her complicated life crashing together in ways she could never have imagined. As summer faded into autumn, Elena found herself looking forward to her Saturday visits to the farmer's market with an intensity that both thrilled and terrified her. Each week, she would bundle Lily up, sometimes with Felix peeking out of a special carrier. The market organizers had a soft spot for the heroic cat, and make her way to Anna's booth. Over steaming cups of coffee and freshly baked treats, Elena and Anna's friendship blossomed. They shared stories, swapped recipes, and cooed over Lily's latest milestones. Elena treasured every moment, storing away each new detail about her daughter's life like precious gems. But with each passing week, the weight of Elena's secret grew heavier. She saw so much of herself in Anna, the way she tilted her head when she laughed, the furrow of concentration between her brows as she tallied up a customer's order. Every similarity was a bittersweet reminder of the truth Elena was hiding. It was on a crisp October morning, as red and gold leaves swirled around their feet, that the carefully constructed facade began to crack. Anna was telling Elena about her upcoming trip to a baking convention in the city. "I'm excited, but a little nervous," Anna admitted, absently playing with the pendant around her neck, a small silver key that Elena had noticed she always wore. "I've never been away from home for so long." Elena's maternal instincts kicked in automatically. "You'll do wonderfully," she reassured Anna. "Just remember to call your parents every night, and—" She trailed off, realizing her mistake too late. Anna was looking at her curiously. "That's exactly what my mom always says," she said slowly. "How did you know?" Elena felt a cold sweat break out on her forehead. "Oh, just motherly instinct, I suppose," she said weakly. Anna nodded, but Elena could see the wheels turning behind her eyes. The moment passed, but Elena knew she had come dangerously close to revealing her secret. That night, as Elena put Lily to bed, her mind was in turmoil. She had come to love these Saturdays with Anna, to cherish the relationship they were building. But was it fair to continue this way? Was she being selfish, keeping the truth from Anna to protect her own happiness? As if sensing her distress, Felix jumped up onto the bed, purring softly. Elena stroked his fur, finding comfort in his steady presence. "What should I do, Felix?" she whispered. "How do I tell her without risking everything we've built?" The cat blinked at her slowly, offering no answers but his silent support. The next few weeks passed in a blur of anxiety for Elena. She found herself second-guessing every word, every gesture around Anna. The easy rapport they had developed was strained by Elena's internal struggle. Anna, perceptive as ever, noticed the change. "Is everything okay, Elena?" she asked one Saturday, concern evident in her voice. "You seem distracted lately," Elena forced a smile. "Just a lot on my mind," she said. "Work, Lily. You know how it is." Anna nodded sympathetically, but Elena could see she wasn't entirely convinced. As they parted ways that day, Elena felt a growing sense of dread. She couldn't keep this up much longer. Something had to give. It was the following Saturday that everything came to a head. Elena arrived at the market later than usual, having been held up by a fussy Lily. As she approached Anna's booth, she saw a couple standing there talking animatedly with Anna. With a jolt, Elena recognized them from the background of some of Anna's photos, her adoptive parents. Elena's first instinct was to turn and run, but before she could move, Anna spotted her. "Elena," she called out, waving her over, "come meet my parents." As if in a dream, Elena found herself walking towards the booth. Anna's adoptive mother turned, a warm smile on her face that quickly froze as her eyes met Elena's. Recognition dawned in her expression, followed quickly by shock and then a flicker of fear. "Elena," Anna's adoptive father said, his voice tight. "Elena Ramirez." Anna looked between them, confusion evident on her face. "You know each other?" The world seemed to tilt on its axis as Elena realized the moment she had both longed for and dreaded had finally arrived. There was no running from the truth now. "Anna," Elena said, her voice trembling, "there's something I need to tell you." But before she could continue, Anna's adoptive mother stepped forward, her face a mask of protective determination. "I think it's time we had a family discussion," she said firmly. "All of us." As they moved to a quiet corner of the market, Lily babbling obliviously in her stroller and Felix watching with alert eyes from his carrier, Elena felt as though she was standing on the edge of a precipice. Everything was about to change, and there was no going back. The truth, so long buried, was finally clawing its way to the surface. And as Elena looked into the confused and increasingly suspicious eyes of her daughter, she realized that the real test of love, forgiveness, and family was only just beginning. The small group found themselves in a quiet cafe just off the market square. The cheerful atmosphere, a stark contrast to the tension that crackled between them. Anna sat between her adoptive parents, her eyes darting between them and Elena, confusion and apprehension etched on her face. Elena's hands shook as she adjusted Lily in her lap, grateful for the warm weight of her foster daughter anchoring her to the moment. Felix, ever the guardian, had managed to sneak into the cafe and now sat alertly at Elena's feet, his green eyes watching the unfolding drama. "Someone please explain what's going on," Anna said, her voice tight with barely contained emotion. "How do you know each other? What aren't you telling me?" Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for the moment she had imagined countless times but never quite like this. "Anna," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, I'm your birth mother." The words hung in the air, heavy with 18 years of secrets and longing. Anna's face went pale, her hand automatically going to the key pendant around her neck. The pendant, Elena now realized, that must have come with her as a baby. "What?" Anna breathed, looking to her adoptive parents for confirmation or denial. Anna's adoptive mother, Sarah, reached out to take her daughter's hand. "It's true, sweetheart," she said gently. "This is Elena. We never expected to see her again. Anna's adoptive father, Michael, his face a mix of concern and barely concealed anger, spoke up. How did you find us? The adoption was closed. You agreed to stay away. Eleanor flinched at the accusation in his tone. I wasn't looking. It was an accident, she stammered, trying to explain the incredible coincidence that had brought them together. An accident? Michael's voice was incredulous. You expect us to believe that you just happened to stumble upon our daughter at a farmer's market? Eleanor felt a surge of defensiveness. It's the truth, she insisted. I had no idea Anna would be here. I came for the cinnamon rolls, and... She trailed off, realizing how absurd it sounded. Anna, who had been silent, her face a mask of shock, suddenly stood up. I need some air, she said, her voice shaking. Before anyone could stop her, she rushed out of the cafe. Anna, Sarah called, starting to rise, but Elena was already on her feet. Let me, she said, handing Lily to Sarah almost instinctively. Please, I need to explain. After a moment of tense silence, Michael nodded grudgingly. Elena hurried out of the cafe, Felix darting out behind her. She found Anna in a small park across the street, sitting on a bench, her head in her hands. Elena approached cautiously, her heart breaking at the sight of her daughter's distress. Anna, she said softly, can we talk? Anna looked up, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. Why? She asked, her voice raw with emotion. Why now? Why did you give me up? Elena sat down next to her, leaving a respectful distance between them. It's a long story, she began, but you deserve to know the truth. Over the next hour, as the autumn sun dipped lower in the sky, Elena poured out her heart. She told Anna about being young and alone, about the impossible choice she had faced, about the years of regret and longing that had followed. I thought I was doing what was best for you, Elena said, tears streaming down her face. I wanted you to have a chance at a better life than I could give you, but not a day went by that I didn't think of you, wonder about you, love you. Anna listened in silence, her face a kaleidoscope of emotions, anger, confusion, sadness, and something else Elena couldn't quite identify. And Lily? Anna asked finally. Is she? No, Elena said quickly. Lily is my foster daughter, caring for her. It opened my heart in ways I never expected. It made me realize how much I had missed, with you. Anna nodded slowly, her hand once again going to the key pendant around her neck. This was from you, wasn't it? She asked. Elena nodded, a lump forming in her throat. It was my grandmother's. I wanted you to have a piece of your history, even if you didn't know it. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of 18 years of separation hanging between them. Finally, Anna spoke, her voice quiet but steady. I can't forgive you. Not yet. It's too much. I need time. Eleanor felt her heart constrict, but she nodded. I understand, she said softly. I don't expect forgiveness, Anna. I wanted you to know the truth. To know that you were always loved, always wanted. Anna stood up, wrapping her arms around herself. I need to go home. I need to think. As Anna turned to leave, Eleanor called out, Anna, wait. She fumbled in her purse, pulling out a worn envelope. This is for you. I wrote it years ago, but I never sent it. Please, read it when you're ready. Anna hesitated for a moment before taking the letter. Without another word, she walked away, leaving Elena alone on the bench. As Elena watched her daughter disappear into the distance, she felt a mixture of relief and heartache. The truth was out, for better or worse. Now, all she could do was wait and hope. Felix, who had been watching the entire exchange from a nearby bush, emerged and jumped onto the bench beside Elena. He nuzzled her hand, offering silent comfort. Oh, Felix, Elena sighed, scratching behind his ears. What have I done? As the sun set on this tumultuous day, Eleanor knew that nothing would ever be the same. The carefully constructed life she had built was forever altered. But as she sat there, with Felix by her side, and thoughts of Lily waiting for her, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, this unraveling was the first step towards weaving a new, more beautiful tapestry of family and love. Little did Elena know that the most challenging and rewarding part of her journey was yet to come. As she made her way back to the cafe to face Anna's adoptive parents and retrieve Lily, she steeled herself for whatever lay ahead. The path forward was uncertain, but for the first time in 18 years, Elena felt as though she was truly moving towards something, rather than running from her past. The weeks following the revelation at the farmer's market were some of the most difficult of Elena's life. Anna had retreated into silence, and Elena respected her need for space, even as it tore at her heart. The Saturday market visits, once the highlight of her week, became bittersweet reminders of what she had gained and lost in a single afternoon. Lily, blissfully unaware of the emotional turmoil around her, continued to grow and thrive. Her innocent laughter and unconditional love became Elena's anchor in the storm of uncertainty, and Felix, ever faithful, seemed to have appointed himself guardian not just of Lily, but of Elena's fragile emotional state as well. It was on a chilly November evening, as Elena sat on her couch with Lily asleep in her arms and Felix curled at her feet, that her phone buzzed with a text message. Her heart leapt when she saw it was from Anna. "I read your letter. Can we meet?" "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the cafe near the market." Elena's fingers trembled as she typed her reply. "I'll be there." The next day, Elena arrived at the cafe early, her nerves on edge. She had agonized over whether to bring Lily, finally deciding that this conversation needed to be just between her and Anna. Sarah, Anna's adoptive mother, had surprisingly offered to watch Lily, a gesture of goodwill that gave Elena hope. As the cafe door chimed, Elena looked up to see Anna walk in. Her daughter's face was a mask of careful neutrality, but Elena could see the storm of emotions behind her eyes. "Thank you for coming," Elena said softly, as Anna sat down across from her. Anna nodded, her fingers absently playing with the key pendant around her neck. "I have questions," she said simply. For the next 2 hours, Anna asked and Elena answered. They talked about Elena's life before and after the adoption, about Anna's childhood, about the twists of fate that had brought them together again. There were tears, moments of tense silence, and even a few cautious laughs as they navigated the complex emotions between them. "I want you to know," Anna said finally, her voice thick with emotion, "that I had a good life. My parents, Sarah and Michael, they loved me. They gave me everything." Elena nodded, swallowing past the lump in her throat. "I'm so glad," she whispered. "That's all I ever wanted for you." Anna took a deep breath. "I'm not ready to forgive you entirely," she said. "But I think I understand now, and I'd like to try to get to know you. The real you, not just the Elena I've known these past few months." Elena felt a wave of relief and joy wash over her. "I'd like that too," she said, smiling through her tears. "Very much." As they prepared to leave, Anna hesitated. "There's something else," she said. "Jan, I've been thinking a lot about Lily, about what you're doing for her. I'd like to help if I can. Maybe I could babysit sometimes." Eleanor's heart swelled with love and pride for the compassionate young woman her daughter had become. "Lily would love that," she said, "and so would I." As they walked out of the cafe together, not quite mother and daughter, but no longer strangers, Eleanor felt a sense of peace settle over her. The road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in 18 years, she felt truly hopeful about the future. Over the next few months, a new pattern emerged. Anna began to visit Elena's apartment, getting to know Lily and, to Elena's amusement, forming a fast friendship with Felix. The cat seemed to have appointed himself Anna's protector as well, much to everyone's delight. Elena and Anna's relationship grew slowly but steadily. There were still moments of tension, of old hurts resurfacing, but they faced them together. Anna's adoptive parents, initially wary, gradually came to accept Elena's presence in their daughter's life. It wasn't always easy, but they all recognized the importance of family in all its complex, beautiful forms. As winter gave way to spring, Elena received news that filled her with both joy and trepidation. Her application to adopt Lily had been approved. As she shared the news with Anna over cups of hot chocolate in Elena's living room, she felt a moment of panic. "Are you sure you're okay with this?" Elena asked, searching her daughter's face for any sign of hurt or resentment. Anna was quiet for a moment, her eyes on Lily, who was happily playing with Felix on the floor. Then she looked up at Elena, a soft smile on her face. "You know," Anna said, "for a long time I was angry that you gave me up. I couldn't understand how a mother could do that. But watching you with Lily, seeing the love you have for her for me, I get it now. You did what you thought was best for me then, and you're doing what's best for Lily now. That's what being a mother is all about, isn't it?" Elena felt tears well up in her eyes. "Oh, Anna," she whispered. Anna reached out and took Elena's hand. "I'm happy for you, Mom," she said. The word Mom, soft and a little uncertain, but full of love. "And I'm happy for Lily. She's got the best mother she could ask for." As they embraced, Lily toddled over, Felix close behind. The little girl threw her arms around both of them, giggling happily. Felix, not to be left out, jumped onto the couch and curled up in Anna's lap, purring contentedly. In that moment, surrounded by the warmth of her daughters, love and the steady presence of the cat who had started it all, Elena felt a sense of completion she had never known before. The journey had been long and often painful, but here in this patchwork family they had created, she had found her true redemption. As the spring sunshine streamed through the window, Elena looked at the faces of those she loved most in the world and knew with absolute certainty that every choice, every struggle, every moment of doubt had led her to exactly where she was meant to be. The story of Elena, Anna, Lily, and Felix was far from over. There would be more challenges to face, more moments of joy and sorrow to navigate, but they would face them together, bound by the unbreakable threads of love, forgiveness, and the enduring power of second chances.